Welcome to Worse Than You with Mo Fry Pasick. Me, I'm Mo, and every week I'm asking today's most captivating artists how they got their acts together. The show is not about their best or most famous or most money-making work, but the work that means the most to them, how it exemplifies their creative process, and why they make their art. This week's guest is comedian, writer, actor, and producer. You know him from his appearances on Conan, Comedy Central, VH1, and beyond, which is more not just a network, as well as his 2022 comedy album, Happiness. He's the host of the podcast, Never Seen It, which I have had the pleasure of being on and did love. And I spent the summer with him at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, where he was performing his award-nominated solo show, Hard to Say. Please welcome to the pod, Kyle Ayers. Ready, set, show! Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You did great. How are you?
I'm good. Just doing what I like to do online, which is see if I can see something in the reflection of my glasses in my camera and let that ruin my day by being obsessed about it.
Well, that happened to a lot of people in the pandemic where they'd be like online shopping during a Zoom and then everyone saw in their reflection.
I like that you're nice enough to say that all they were doing was online shopping. That was probably not the worst thing people got caught multitasking doing.
Can I tell you, like, that makes me so like, you know, what's the schadenfreude, like the embarrassment for others? Like, I don't know, the porn.
If it's a reflection of your glasses, it's like reverse schadenfreude, if you will.
Wow, that's getting meta with the with the reflection of who you are. And we're off to the races.
But I'm good. I made a little coffee. I feel good about that. Look at this little mug. I really like how small it is.
Did you get it made, or is it handmade?
It is.
Looks like it.
It is handmade. I've been going and getting actually ceramics at the Lyric Hyperion. Does like an artist showcase sort of visual art thing like once a month or so, and I went and got a lot of things.
Supporting artists and theaters. Come on, knocking two birds out.
It's not as expensive as people think if you buy it right from the hands of the person who made it versus shipping and all that sort of jazz.
Turns out. Well, I'm very excited that you're finally on the pod. I would love for us to start with you giving the listeners a Too Long Didn't Read, which is a synopsis of your show, Hard to Say, which you'll be performing, because I saw it and I absolutely adore it. I was like bursting at the seams to talk to you after. And so I would love for the listeners to get a quick rundown of that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for teaching me what TLDR stands for. I can't believe I
didn't know.
Just learned this. No, I just learned that literally right now.
You're like online. You like
I know. Oh, I've got online at home. I have it on my phone. You said that and I was like, yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Oh, that's so fun when that clicks.
I have seen like kids realize what a save icon is. That it used to be a physical thing that you could hold.
To the floppy disk,
and you're just like, what a revelation to have. That we used to hold save icons in our hands to load Word documents.
They're hieroglyphics.
Yeah, they will someday be that. But the show is called Hard to Say. It is a bunch of jokes about chronic pain, nerve disorder I have in my brain and my head called trigeminal neuralgia, which I've had we're pushing 8 years now, I think, which is wild to actually do the math. Yeah. And it's sort of the journey of being in pain all day, every day, and surgeries and pills and jokes about that. A lot of jokes that when put in a regular stand-up set, people said, what are you doing? Stop. Talk about other stuff.
Oh, I love starting there because, my God, to have to... it goes back to like showmanship, to have to contextualize a joke to make sure an audience is comfortable with when the base of all comedy is like transmuting pain, essentially, right? And community. And so having to even adjust what you want to do so what you want to do can be received is like a bittersweet experience sometimes.
Yeah, I had this disease and was going through the experience of it for years while just trying to continue to sort of write like odd jokes that I would normally be doing in my life before it. And then it felt, I don't know, like I'm ignoring the elephant in my own head. And so I started just trying to do some jokes about it. And you do these things. You're sort of like, hey, here's a little whimsical thought. Hey, here's a little whimsical thought. Hey, here's a awful abrupt transition in a 10-minute set to me having a brain disease, and then another whimsical thought, and I would leave. And it's not that people didn't laugh. It's that you can feel people be like, hold up. Like there's a little bit of a hang up on the transition, and I just sort of kept writing some jokes about it, or all my jokes would be from the point of view of having it and just removing it from the context. So have an experience, the experience is related around this, the odd thought is this, remove the brain disease altogether, and then just do the joke as its own, like, wouldn't it be crazy if, or if that sort of things. Yeah.
Would it land?
Yeah, sometimes they would be funny, and then they would just be a funny joke I had for 3 years that was actually from an experience related to this. And eventually just sort of strung these together, and it's an ever-changing experience, so the ending of the show tends to be different all the time because it's now tomorrow.
Well, beautifully said, truly, because, every day is now tomorrow. And the hard thing, what I love is pain, right? Yours is such a literal experience of the artist's life, right? Because you might look normal or look well, but you are truly experiencing excruciating pain at all times and are being misunderstood for it, right? Which is the human condition. But you were experiencing it on such a massive scale that to transmute it to a story, to explain it it's high stakes in that way.
Yeah, it is. That's better put than I probably could. Maybe just because I'm close to it itself, everything feels pretty casual and like it is just yours and your experience. But yeah, it is. I found most relation to be under the idea of people having something you can't tell they have and it affecting them. Maybe people won't always relate about specifically the disease itself, but I've just found it honestly easier to get across and translate than I thought it would be. And people then want to laugh at the jokes, and it's been more relatable on a macro sense than I think I thought it would be.
Has that encouraged you to write more about it, or is it just a relief that it's understood?
It has definitely allowed me to feel more comfortable writing more and changing things and feeling less like I need to. It's allowed me to feel more comfortable in the specificity of it all and being more and more true to what it is and less I have this thing, but then dance over here and just do a bit I know works or something like that.
It's so easy to do that. And it makes sense.
Yeah, it's very easy. I mean, I've always done that in really everything. It's just sort of hey, here's a wink of sentimentality. Now, if you don't mind if I don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain, you know what I mean? 100%. Let me step back. And if I wink and nod enough, we all agree that no matter how this goes is okay, is kind of a fearful thing that I would do. And
I can control the emotional vulnerability I give you, the amount. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which I probably still do subconsciously or consciously, I'm not sure, depending on how I'm feeling at any moment. But the reception of people being open to stuff like this, I sort of must constantly thank the ever growing list of performers who've pushed past and grown stand-up to a more patient art form.
Beautifully said, truly, and have had to endure even not being known or not being known in their art form. And so many people have pushed it forward in ways seen and unseen that makes it possible for, you to ask for the space and time you need to get across the comedy that's best for you.
Yeah, I've really tried to keep this show to where I could do any chunk of it on a 10-minute set really anywhere and at least feel like it can go good. I want to be can I keep plucking parts of this? Because that's how I feel that it continues to get funnier and funnier, is if I can be in Santa Barbara on some brewery show doing 11 minutes of the show. And I don't have to say, this is part of a show. I can just go up and be boom, here's the experience, here's the jokes. Or I can be doing, a show at the Upright Citizens Brigade where people have this built-in patience, maybe too patient. And
yeah.
They've retaken their fourth level of patience 6 times. And
yeah, but they're going to do it too Tuesday night show at 11 p.m. and eventually.
And I think that I don't know if once again, I was just fresher into comedy, so who knows? But in 2017 or 18, I'm not sure if people were this. And there's just an influx of people being honestly more. Yeah, patient is the only. It seems to be like everyone is impatient about most things everywhere, but except like with comedy, people are like, I like this show. I think we've broadened the sense of what stand up can be and look like and do, and it's such a baby of an art form compared to a painting or something like that. And so it seems only natural that it gets deconstructed and reconstructed within its first like 120 years over and over again until it's just a broad sense.
And also like not even more patient, but it's just like more representation, meaning like more people who want to see the art form see people they like and are present. Whereas before it's like those people were only going for a certain type of stand-up, and the audience now has widened to people who want a less, so I was fucking my wife, like.
Oh, definitely. I have never, ever thought that there is a limited amount of pie for art consumption, especially with what you like and who's represented, and whether it's who is shown or who is heard or who is listening, because there's just more pies, because that pie still exists in 16 different places all over Los Angeles.
And tomorrow's Pie Day. So
yeah. Oh my gosh, it is.
Yeah.
I just learned about Mario Day. I did a show on March 10th and they kept calling it Mario Day because it was MAR10.
That's incredible. I'm such a numbers person with that dumb shit, and I never heard that one.
I had never heard. I was on a show in Manhattan Beach, and I was like, I'm in so much medical debt. I can't wait for Luigi Day, and no one liked it. No one liked it at all. And I was like, oh, is that guy your friend? Did you guys because they're all rich people there? I'm like, oh, you guys knew that guy, didn't you? That's probably what it was.
They're like all CEOs, and they had to hide out that week. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you guys give me this polo fit me 9 years ago, but I still have it on energy.
Oh, and little sausages tucked in with their Vineyard Vines belt. Absolutely.
But I'd never heard of that before, and we got that, and then we have I like Mario and Pie Day more than St. Patrick's Day, probably, as far as what I would consume.
The consumption.
Yeah, that's what's happened with the show. I've just like, people are really like, I've done this at stand-up clubs. I've done this at, I don't know if there's more alt of a venue than the Plague Crypt I performed in Edinburgh for a month.
Okay.
It might be the altest venue on the planet.
I'm sorry. There's three things I want to pin. One, the desire to have this be accessible anywhere in any chunk. Two, I forgot. And three, Kyle absolutely performed this in a dripping wet, mold-filled cave for a month, which is also like, it was so funny because like Edinburgh does this to its artists, and I'm kind of going like, this individual has chronic pain, has a neurological like condition, and we're just saying, yeah, that's fine. Let's put your venue in a mold-filled hellscape.
Part of me thought it might cure it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Like taking too much poison.
I'm rewatching the X-Files now, and about half of the episodes are about how a new alien organism was released from the permafrost of Earth, and I'm just like, maybe this.
And like, I can't stress to listeners, we're not doing a bit. Like it is a Scottish cave.
It's a literal cave. It's a cave.
Beneath a bar.
It is where they would put people during the plague, which is older than where I am, as far as like. You know what I mean? It's older than the country we're in right now. Yeah. They would put people there during the plague to let them die.
Yeah.
And so and then they were like, I could see puns working in here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They said, honey, we need a laugh.
There was something growing on the wall by my tech, and he would monitor it every day and draw. It was like the reverse of a height chart. It was how much something was growing down the edge of the wall every day. And I don't know if mold is supposed to grow at I can watch it happen rate.
Yeah. Turns out actually probably not.
But it was a literal cave.
You actually might be a super person. We met early, like long time ago, just by osmosis of being in stand-up scene, I think.
Yeah.
And you are like, to me, such a classic stand-up in that like you're more alt in that you have like wordplay and that sort of stuff, but like you were doing the shows in the more like traditional stand-up way. and adding subversions where you could. And it felt like someone like Christy Cello, like wakes up, writes, does the jokes, and does it very methodically. And so to the point of all of a sudden this pain, like, was that just taking you out of your writing? Did it take your whole process away completely? Did you try and push through, like, on a very literal clay on the mound way?
I think it killed my adventurousness with stand-up for a while. And I was just having a tough time doing anything new. There was really no downtime for me. Anytime I wasn't doing something, I was laying face down on the floor or freaking out. And it really, really slowed down a lot of what I was doing. Yeah, there were times when I was running like weird sort of alternative shows or conceptual shows or things, and my bandwidth for that stuff all went out the window completely.
Which also like had a lot of like slideshows and you'd hire people to like draw things and do like it was a lot of coordination in your shows.
I really, really am just a big fan of, and I was thinking about this with this show. What I love more than anything that I think I might be able to do to a way that I like is I love to set all of the dominoes up, and I like to watch other people walk around the floor covered in dominoes. And so whether it was like the First Comes Love show that I would run, or like Never Seen It in the podcast or the show form, or the Bo Straddle show, or all these things, I'm like, okay, we've sort of propped up all these weird things. I think I'm good at maintaining them or dealing with when they fall.
Is this a St. Louis thing? Because I think of Joe Firestone as like a classic stand-up where she can channel out these jokes, but she also has the goofiest shows you've ever seen, and you do as well.
You know, I'm from Kansas City. I don't want to like.
I thought you were St. Louis.
No.
Why didn't you feel it?
I do love Joe, and yeah, I mean that was like one of the first things I did when I moved to Brooklyn was do Punderdome, and get like a big laugh from Michael Showalter because I said my name was DJ KY Jelly, and he was like, that's good, and he moved me through to the next round just for that pun, and so I was like, okay, I might be in the right sort of situation here, but I'm not. I think that ultimately, I think like someone like Joe has. When I was trying to do new things in Brooklyn, had carved out enough legitimacy for people to entertain someone else trying that. Whether it was Joe or Chris Gethard or people like this, where it's like, hey, did you know this can work in a more, I mean, when you're pitching to a venue, a way where you don't lose money?
Yeah.
Like, or something like that, like the Knitting Factory or the Bell House or something.
But where you can incorporate the art of stand-up into an interactive thing. Yes,
yeah,
100%.
You're like, there's something to all of this. And I think that folks like that who'd been around before I was there really were able to let people at least hear you out.
Of course, but back to the point of your process, you were doing that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you were taking those efforts to also create that thing. And so it's like that process sounds like it was taken.
Yeah, I mean, I hoped that it was like that. There's also something safe about your first shows that you're creating, booking 26 people on them. So you at least know the back of the Knitting Factory will have at least 27 people in it. But it was it was adventurous and it felt fun. And ultimately, I have had some pretty bum out moments in my life thinking that was carved out of my head at some point. In like a literal sense. And
wow.
I don't know. I just, none of it, I've tried to, lightning in a bottle or my ability to maintain multiple things at once. I'm not sure what changed, but maybe just my priorities.
Yeah, there's such poetry in questioning in such a self-aware way, what was actually my thing and what have I lost?
Yeah, I have never felt, I sort of just felt like I fell off the face of the earth. And ultimately, you disappear. Yeah, health stuff was pretty debilitating and I couldn't really talk or function or be around people. And it's not much better now, but I have figured out how to live with it. And then you just don't maintain contact with folks. And then it's, you're sick for 2018 and 2019 and then lo and behold, 2020 comes around and everyone decides to follow your lead, even though you're the trendsetter of laying face down on the floor. Everyone
Jerks.
seems to do the same thing.
Taking my thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I think in the big picture, it's still only been 5 years since that started, and that's not that very long. And I came out on the other side, like with whole different priorities and wanting to be funny in whatever ways and having to just pick up the pieces and being out of, I don't know, like being unable to really function on the front side and the back side of that made it a little harder to hit either of the grooves of it.
Has it required you to ask for more help and like delegate more, or is it you've adapted?
Yeah. It's definitely required me to need to ask more. Whether I do or not is probably on me. But I think that ultimately it is funny because then you're like, you have these insecurities of everyone forgot I exist. Everyone forgot I do this. No one knows what this is. And then you ask someone one thing and they're like, oh, I'd be happy to do that. I've been thinking about, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, okay. I thought I was just doom scrolling with my eyes shut, my own thoughts.
Oh my God. It wouldn't be heaven to have that much control.
Yeah. Yeah.
A linear doom scroll.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's now I don't know if I'm on the other side of anything, but like with hard to say, I'm just sort of, I have frustrations with it, but I'm happy to be doing it the moments I get to actually do it.
So there's been like things you'd wish you could have done but that hindered you because of the pain in the show? Okay. I
mean, in the show, probably. With the show, definitely. The fact of the show as a whole, for sure. I have a hard time, it is a difficult promote of here's like, is it me? Is it this show? Is it funny? Is it not funny? I don't have like funny photos of me. So then it becomes like the marketing of it is a struggle. And so it's like all over the place. And then you let frustrations prevent you from doing anything where you're like, well, if there's this one barrier, surely there'll be more on the other side. So I might as well not push past that. How's the floor? And
it's also the thing of you're like, hey, I'm going to laugh at this. And people are like, oh, and you're like, please don't actually like, I don't.
Absolutely wild. And that has had me do a lot of pivoting and refocusing of the show and sort of just please, you want to be like, all of the jokes about this guy, that's me. So if I'm okay saying them and laughing them, I would love it if you came along. Just pretend it's you and your own weird thoughts.
This is one of the most genius things I think you do in this show is because, I mean, to a much smaller degree, because I'm not actually experiencing it on the stage, my show involved talking about sexual assault and Fringe, like where you're getting a bunch of like drunk randos to come like, let's come talk, like come party rock, you're gonna laugh, it's so funny actually. But then you do this thing and we can cut it if you don't want to reveal what you do in your show. But yeah, every time, Kenny. Like,
every time we could cut it. We could cut it. I don't want to ruin Brooklyn. I don't want to ruin the cleanup of the bocce ball court.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's bocce based every time actually, which is. But to that point, like what you do is you immediately have the audience with like a loop horn, the the bummer sound from cartoons.
Yeah, like a slide whistle.
And what's so funny is that like up top, you acknowledge by asking a random couple like to play it when they think they should. And what is so fun about that device, right, is immediately acknowledging the awkward choice to laugh at pain. And because then no matter what, it's funny because if the person does it at the right time, you laugh. And if they do it at the wrong time, you laugh. And that's the whole point of it. I thought that was such a great device.
Yeah, I think that this is like a disarming mechanism of the show.
Completely.
And I just think it's funny to like, it's almost like I have a bunch of New Year's Eve balloons above the entire crowd would be like my actual goal. And someone can trigger them to all fall down at any point or anything that they would, you know what I mean? Something like
this
that.
This will happen.
So
I believe this can happen.
We're all here.
Yes.
But now if I'm getting in a sincere or heavier moment, everyone is sort of like diverting their thoughts to this stranger in the front row with a whistle in their hands. This would
be a good time to be sarcastic, like.
Yeah, and I love not being in control, honestly. I think that I feel funniest when the ceiling's falling.
Also, the 2010 to 2017 or whatever in Brooklyn comedy was very improv based. Like it was very like not, and I don't mean crowd work. It was like if there was some chaos incorporated that could have a live aspect, I think that's a skill set.
Yeah, I really felt like I thrived in that sort of madness, and you're just standing still, like one of those montages in a movie where you stand still and everything's moving fast to an Imogen Heap song. And,
Limitless.
Yeah. And I think that has helped with, I ultimately think my favorite type of comedy is something that makes you realize it was different because you were there than if you'd watched it on television. And I don't really watch any stand-up or performance on television unless it's against my will.
Who's forcing you?
It's really hard. I just really wish I was at it. And there's stuff that I really, really love. And I'm just like, I bet this was so much more fun in the room. I just really liked back when it felt like I ran shows specifically to make them to be live for the people that were at them. I never really taped them. I never really posted clips of any of all that stuff. I just thought it was so fun to set something up for everyone who decided to go somewhere.
Which is like such one, it's like such a theater kid impulse. And you know what I mean? Where it's like, true blue in the way where it's like, I want to live right here with this person. And like, they are my scene partner. Like the audience is, and that keeps coming up in everyone I talk to, that it's like the people who really want to create something are obsessed with the audience and obsessed with like the fact that they're there, that they got up, that maybe they have pain and decided to, you know, still put an outfit on and show up in this room in a wet basement. Like it's exciting and it means something.
Yeah. I mean, you encounter people who found a babysitter.
Yes.
And you're like, that's so much more work than I put into the show.
100%. Yeah.
And you like have like your kid is not here. And so you're making like a distinct choice for this to maybe be the thing you do this month or something like that. I would love it for people to, I think that it's just so fun if someone is excited to explain a joke or your show to someone and it bombs while they're explaining it. Because that means that they really loved a thing that probably wouldn't have been a good vertical video.
That's heaven on earth. It's not reshareable. You had to be there. It's all you had to be there.
I love that. Now, has that maybe hindered me from filing taxes in a bracket that matters? Sure.
Incredible way to put that. Generous way to put that.
Legally, I am filing my taxes this year, probably legally. But has that changed and maybe hindered financial gain at the expense of enjoying it? Probably, if I'm to believe people who've told me exactly that while passing on stuff. But then whatever.
But how do you feel about that? Because I feel the same as you. And I go like, probably had I been like doing a character online and like, I go, yeah, I guess. But I don't think there is a part of me that can actually do that. Like even
I'll lose my mind.
Yeah.
I'll lose my mind. I think that sometimes when I'm at my saddest about financial freedom to do things, I'm just like, it's crazy that if I got up every single day and just tweeted out the word fart, I'd probably have a bigger following.
Be pretty funny.
You know what I mean? They'd be like, every day, someone would be waiting for me to tweet fart. And then one day I wouldn't or whatever. And they'd be like, oh, this is a statement about the election. Like, it would be like, you know, like, I'm just like, there's a repetition of mediocrity supersede patience and creativity with the internet. And
in capitalism, it does for sure.
Yeah. No, capitalism breeds innovation, according to the bumper sticker on the Cybertruck outside my apartment. And so, so I just am like, but I do sometimes get a little hope that people are changing a little bit. And I'm talking like this is in a micro level of time, like in the last like month or 2 months, where people are a little more into. You remember when websites used to do different things? You'd be like, I'm going to go to this website to take care of my Neopets or whatever.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And now there's like 3 websites and we go to all of them for everything. That feels like it's like the homogenization of it all.
I miss the HTML where you could tell someone did like a bad job on the background and like tried to do a drop-down menu.
I one time made an entire Dragon Ball Z fan site that I didn't even realize had to be uploaded to the internet. I just made it local on my parents' computer.
On the intranet. So, yeah, you used to be able to do that.
You used to have to be like, we're out of hours.
Sure.
We don't have any more hours, which I have
disc.
some AOL hours in the other room, actually. I bought them at a thrift store to sell as merch. I was like, hey, I don't have any merch, but I have some stuff online. So if you guys need any online, I'll sell you that. And then I would pull these DVDs. It worked in DC. I sold like so many because these are all weird like tech people.
You also have to buy rollover minutes to hand out with it as well.
Right. You guys, I have a singular wireless rollover minutes if you guys want. But yeah, I don't know. I feel a little bit of like people being excited and patient and wanting that sort of thing. I know
they are, even at the fact, like I look at the people that have, messaged after my show, but you incorporate the crazy things people have said to you about your, would you call it like a condition? Like, what do you call it?
It doesn't matter. Okay. Condition, disorder, disease, whatever people want to do, is fine.
But people have messaged you like about how free they feel or like affirmed they feel. And like, I think to me, in the very like Buddhist way, it's like, no, you can't change everyone with a single video. You can change yourself, and then a single person can be changed by that, can be changed by that. And it is saturating slowly, but it is because that is all you can control.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at my most optimistic, believe that it is the middle of the night and I can't sleep. You know what I mean? Then you're just like, actually, everything's bad. I should do the fart tweet thing.
Well, you should. That's actually fucked up that you haven't. So
yeah, well, it's actually an idea I stole from Elon. So
king shit.
But it is, yeah. You want to be as uncynical in reality as you present to people. And I try and avoid cynicism at all. There's maybe a good reason or a good part of being sick and in pain is like you don't have the bandwidth generally for other things, including the negative things that could bog you down.
Sure. But is there times like even on this interview or even when you're doing stand-up where like you bodily just want to go like mute or like that you push through actively?
Yeah. I mean, if I really think about it, yeah, but it's so frequent at this point that you would, but yes. Yeah. Like it is, headphones hurt ultimately, but the little earbud things sometimes feel like they're shocking me. So I don't do those. My glasses hurt if I really think about it when it's really bad. Yeah. It's just sort of become a way that you operate.
Yeah, completely. Like we had someone on the podcast last week, and Kate Helen Downey, and she was speaking about how there's only one word for cramps, and she had what she called death cramps, and it was a horrible condition. But people, when you say like my headphones hurt, they have no capacity to understand that you are like pushing past something that probably a lot of people cannot physically keep going, and so. It is that interesting dance between affirming yourself and still wanting to push through and being able to, I think, truly like dance with your disorder and make a relationship with your pain where it's like, listen, I hear you, you are there, but I'm actually not, like, you don't drive the car. I'm going to incorporate you into my life. And it feels so active. Like, of course, you can't stop to think about it. It has to be almost passive relationship with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really nice way of putting it. Yeah. I mean, you're definitely correct. If I slow down and really think about it, I'm like, yeah, it's the worst thing. This is the worst possible thing. There couldn't be a worse thing than this. And so it is just sort of like how I operate, and I'm so used to it now. I have, and this is an odd thing that I don't know if I really have talked about really anyway. A lot of people who have this same thing came to some of the shows in Edinburgh. Mm-hmm. And just because it's such a crazy thing to see in the newspaper and be like, this guy's got a show about, you're like, oh my God, it's like seeing your own proper name. If I see like trigeminal neuralgia in the wild, it's like it says Kyle Ayers on the side of a building. I'm like, what? And so some people came, and there was a big group at one show in particular. And there were a couple of people who hated the show. Who hated the show vehemently. And they told me, and they were like, after the show, they were so excited to talk to me. And they told me that they were like, you're normalizing this too much. And you're normalizing that the way that people can behave with it and the level of, I don't remember their exact, but basically like you're normalizing doing stuff still. Because of the level of pain that it is, they're like, this is like an unfair expectation. It was really, really I don't know. I kind of at first wish they just told me it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Because at least then I can like
easy.
deal with that and
Say they have bad
ultimately
taste.
agree with them in my darkest of thoughts. But the fact that most of the people who were there who have it, this is a bunch of people in a cave, a bar in the back of a cave now, arguing about pain. But you can't get too loud because it hurts to get loud. So it's sort of just like a lot of while getting like flyered and
and mold poisoning.
yeah. And we're like, look, there's the worst thing that's going to happen. I don't know if you guys have seen Contagion, but it started here. And so it became to this like debate between everyone that I kind of wasn't even a part of if I'm making it seem too fine. Once again, then I fluctuate back and forth if I want to assume positive intent from these people of like seeing where they're coming from, but also I'm just like, to me, in the least mean way this can possibly sound, it sounds like you are worried your excuse for not doing something is devalidated by someone moving around with the same thing.
Well, I wouldn't even say your excuse. I think what's so uncomfortable and upsetting about that interaction is, one, it's like you hope that interaction's everywhere because, the language in like queer spaces is, like the get to the space where you can have the privilege of mediocrity or,
Sure.
And so I think what's interesting about that is like it's a clear projection. You're right. It's not mean to say that like this person is saying normalize. There's nothing normalizing about the disease. You are just someone who has chosen to operate with it in this way and has been able to do things and push past things. But in saying that you're doing things is somehow, it feels like it's lessening your pain in the disease with the very people who might understand the pain because you're able to do it. And so it's inherently you're holding space for it while still being invalidated and then yelled at for it. And I think this is the artist's way. It's so shitty, but it's so heavenly to push past that.
There was just something so demeaning and belittling about someone saying you lining up things that have happened to you is bad for me.
It doesn't take you into account.
It's
in any
harmful
way.
for me. And ultimately, I just, was happy that they came.
Oh,
and, but was just like, it took me like a little bit to just get over it. I just sort of like left. I was like very emotional. I was like about to cry walking back through the rain. Just like, that was the show I was like really looking forward to, was all these people coming who I thought would really, but this is, if there's nothing more comedy and art to do, it's to really, really months later harp on 2 of the 1,000 people because they had a negative thing to say.
But not even, that's the thing. I harp on people who were like deeply affected by my show, and I know the visual, I still know their faces on certain, and I did, we did so many shows. Because I think it matters the parts that hit you, especially when sometimes, we as artists are like, I don't, need the art to heal me or whatever. But it is an effort to be in community. And sometimes I'm struck though, and you will have to see Kyle's show, but you had performed for the community before, people who have this disease, and it also did not resonate as much as you would have liked. So I think what's really difficult, especially when you're paving paths and breaking down boundaries, is the resentment and pain that you have to deal with people being exposed. Like people don't like it in any way. It's like this desire to be seen, but then the second you're seen, it's such a human reaction to be like, please understand me. Oh, not too much. What? Now there's responsibility. Oh,
sure.
And so you have to continually live the disease and then hold the container and then kind of wish somebody else could take care in the same way an artist takes care of the audience. And I just think, again, yours is such an immediate example of what most artists are doing with anything. And it's bittersweet, just keeps coming to mind with all this.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately I love it and I like doing the show and people find it very funny. And this is like just 1 to 2 people in particular that had such a odd thought that I could not fathom having that made me feel guilt.
Yeah.
And
sucks.
then time passed and I just realized I completely disagree with them. and to the way that I find their opinion to be wrong.
Well, the vibe is hurt people. And it's like, I know you're hurt, but don't hurt me.
Yeah, I think that I really, really took away this. I've been in pain groups. I've talked to a lot of people, and there's something comforting in a reason why not to do anything else. I mean, I think a lot of people found that in the pandemic.
True.
And I think that there's something comforting to being like, I would, but, and this is a big but. This is a huge, there's the sound clip. This is like a huge, huge reason why not to do something. And it is comforting to not be able to, because it's outside of your hands. And I have a pretty big thing that could kept me from doing things. And I felt like that. I was like, well, I can't do anything. And I think they felt some vulnerability seeing, because it wasn't just them. There were a lot of people at the show with it who are active and out and doing, and there's a lot of people who are and can. And I think that they're like, but if he's doing something, or if this group's doing something, this might make, I don't know. I think that I think that there is a comfort to having a reason to not do stuff.
Of course there's a comfort, because one, they maybe have different things. It's anyone with their career, right? Where they're like, oh, my friends aren't successful, so I don't worry about it. It's like, or my friends are, and I'm a piece of shit, I should do more. It's a universal feeling, but when we put it on the others, I think the pandemic people did a lot too, where it was like, if somebody was opening the office or whatever, I was like, screw you, fuck you, no.
Yeah.
And like, one, if you're exposing people, sure. But like, two, a lot of it was emotional, and it was that pressure.
Yeah, I mean, there's some validity to it. And then I think there's some like fundamental change that happened with everybody in the time.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even just it's the like, I would have gone pro if I didn't break my knee or whatever, like
Uncle
sports
Rico
guy type of energy. Like it's the Hank Hill, that sort of thing. And that's where I kind of felt that they were coming from the more I thought about it. But in the moment I was just like, whoa.
Was comedy with this? So like, I'm thinking about people who are trying to be generative, right? Like, I told you on your podcast, which I've never seen it. You said when, remember that New Yorker cartoon that was like someone on a boat half eaten. It's a tsunami and they're in a rowboat and there's a shark. And then the caption is, I think I'll write a book.
Yes.
and so I laugh. You have so much going on. And I'm wondering, even if maybe it's not conscious, but is continuing to write your jokes helping you, distracting you, a commitment to not letting this disease take things from you? Like, is it an active thing?
I think probably the third thing, maybe the most, but I ultimately just really like goofing on stuff. And this mostly came from goofing on it in conversation and then feeling like I might have accidentally stumbled into a joke or something. And then it is just a more fun framework for me to write jokes in than anything I've really had in ever, because it feels crazy to not do it.
Which sounds like you tried that.
Yeah. And I felt like a complete uphill battle, even if people didn't know, just fighting against everything that was going on. Like if in the middle of the flood, Noah didn't reference the rain.
If he was like, I'm building a boat.
Sort of, right. Or he's just like sort of talking about like how eventually he wants to travel or something like, or he's just like, this happened to me the other day. And he's telling the animals, on, what I mean? Like this is a big giant thing that's taking over your life. You should probably
acknowledge it.
Mind that at least. And I found it to be so much, rather than resisting it and thinking that I am too disconnected from sincerity, which is kind of how my comedy always was.
I don't think, really.
I mean, I think I've always sort of been like a little less sincere than maybe now.
That is not how I perceived you back in the day.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take that.
Well, because my perception was that somebody who was like showing the relationship of like discomfort with sincerity, like in an earnest way. It was like, I'm sincere and this is hell. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. I still think that maybe I'm like even leaning, this is just the easiest place for me to put that now.
Sure.
I think a lot of it just comes from, I find comedians who acknowledge they're in a room with people talking to those people, that those people can see them back, are so much more sincere feeling. Like it doesn't take that much to be like, it's weird we all came to the basement. You know what I mean? It's weird.
Oh
it's
my
weird that you
God.
bought a ticket to sit across from me.
It's the green curtain. It is the green curtain. And it's like,
Yeah. So I think that I've just found, while always thinking it would be difficult to relate to people and talk about this, I found it to be the easiest actually. And it's almost more comfortable to write in this, and where now I'm like, have I written anything else? Or does everything falling in this umbrella now?
do you have that desire? Because I back to the point of, I loved the idea that like you wanted this, because it's a show, it's a full piece, and it is a journey through your, brain surgery, your efforts to help yourself, your relationship with your like people in your life with pain. And so I think it's fun, the idea of like, can something effectively translate when it's only its parts, and like, can each part be an individual nugget? Like, I think that's an exciting concept.
It is fun to figure that out every show one at a time, whether it's hard to say or doing 10 or 12 minutes on some other show, and figure out where people like what, when, how. And it's, it's just sort of always a changing thing, I guess. And I don't really know, but I have been pleasantly surprised by people's ability to be open to it, even in shorter stints.
Yeah. I even laugh at like, you have to work to make the audience comfortable, because if one person laughs at the really dark thing too loud and the rest of the audience didn't, then they know that everyone's looking at them. So like, you need to create a collective energy so quick in those 12 minutes.
And with something like this, if you're talking about things like this and you steamroll without acknowledging that you're also there, people will feel crazy.
Oh, 100%.
If you're talking about something, really, I think if any stand-up goes up and performs like this, that no one is there and just sort of goes, even if it's the littlest thing, the driest, one-linerist, least present sort of thing, just to be like, well, okay, then it just unlocks everything. Hey, why are we here? What are we doing? We're live performing. Like I am so uncomfortable when people don't seem to know that they're or acknowledge we're all in a weird room doing a weird thing.
Yeah. And I think like even this podcast, right, is like breaking down the thing and asking about the logistical thing also abstractly. And I think the pulling back of the green curtain, the acknowledging the weird thing doesn't explode the illusion. To me, it offers up so many more.
Yes.
It's like so much more intimacy, so much more like, because it's like, what's more interesting to me isn't the illusion of a wizard. It's, why is this man hiding behind a curtain? Oh my God, let's talk about that's incredible.
Right. I can still appreciate his visuals and his big weird face and his funny voices and all of his cool levers, while realizing it's more impressive that it's a guy than if it was magic.
100%.
This comes from someone who hasn't seen Wicked, so I don't know what's that.
Okay, you've seen Wizard of Oz.
I've seen Wizard of Oz. I don't know what sort of prequel wizard or wizard energy is coming out from him. I don't want to, but yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't feel like the wizard from Wizard of Oz is what I'll say.
Okay.
I just watched.
Wait, is it Jeff Goldblum?
Yes. I've never seen the musical though, and so
okay.
I don't know if it's different.
I mean, that's like, they definitely didn't have a backup.
Well, it's funny.
This is a casting that didn't have a backup.
He literally played that character in the Thor Ragnarok.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of red carpet videos. The man's having a good time with his life.
Do we think he's like doing a little bit of drugs before, or he's just having fun playing a character, or this is him?
This is to me, this is not a drug energy at all. It's too specific and consistent.
That's fun. That's giving Charles Nelson Riley to me.
Yes. Oh my, with the glasses,
King.
with like the
King.
Yeah. I mean,
Him
that's
and
a match game
Summers.
god. Yeah.
I used to watch that shit. So yeah. You know what I want to get for my podcast is a Gene Rayburn mic.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, Match Game was I do distinctly remember being like, oh, these are people like being performatively comedic on television as themselves rather than like anything else, where normally you see game show hosts that are very like
chucklery, spooky,
every man, boring, not boring, but like, like consistent sort of just a vessel for a show to run through. But this was such a fun showcase.
It's a formula.
Yeah, and America seems averse to that aside from a few shows now.
Well, and to the point of like what we love, it's like living stand-up. It's like you have to be quick on your toes. The joke is formed in the moment when Brett or Gene says something insane, and then they all have to be like,
Yeah. And it is fun because then there is the winking and the nodding. And isn't it hilarious that I said that on TV is part of the entire joke?
yeah, 100%.
We got to wedge in match game talk and everything we ever do from now on.
I know. I'm happy because guess what? Who else is talking about it?
I know Kyle, ever since his brain surgery, Kyle's mind has been blank.
Wouldn't it be so funny if all that you had was like, you know, how people like all of a sudden know French or like can do a Mozart after if you just came out of brain surgery and you memorized every single match game episode ever.
It's not even brain surgery. I just like hit my head on the door recovering from brain surgery, and that's what does it.
It was Gene. Immediately. How? Brain surgery, is it?
Oh, that'd be great. I started to hit my head on stuff just to see.
Don't worry, we'll help you out. We'll get you there. So we are moving into the final segment. Which I think is going to be, you know, I'm excited to hear yours because it feels like you've had so much, almost like private moments with yourself in a way, like 'cause pain disembodies people all the time, right? Like we are then at war with ourselves and you are like, you know, trying to find ways in to talk to your pain to see how you can survive constantly. So this is called Thank You for Holding My Poems. And it's an abstract segment about moments that feel unseen, that feel unfinished, that are shared with another, that have a deep impact on you. So it could be like, you know, a huge comedy album, or it could be your barista being like, sick glasses. But it's something that maybe at a tentative point made you feel seen and heard. So if you want to bring a poem to us, or we will hold one for you, whatever that comes to mind for you.
Yeah, it could not be more different than what we have been talking about. What I thought about with this of something that like had like a profound impact on how I am and in things that I'm working on. And this thing doesn't even know I exist. It's not like a bad thing or a sad thing at all. I'm like prepping it up like it's like I'm going to reveal something crazy, but it's just so different than what we're doing. I have been writing and running Dungeons and Dragons campaigns and getting into the storytelling of them more than really anything else. I just find it, but I find anything that opens play for adults to be so rare, and even if you have to like once again like weasel it in through some sort of mechanism of swinging a funny sword or something, you know what I mean? Like there is a and I'm not super versed in the famous people who do it. Okay. Or the high level, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm with comedy where I can say this person's joke or this person's this, but it's ultimately has infiltrated my online.
Did you play before this?
I played for a while in a game, and then I started running games and writing games. Wow. Simply as a exercise or like a fun thing to do. And now I just find like creating arcs and allowing, basically, once again, it's a little bit of a dominoes thing where I'm like, I have set up 8 or 10 single spaced pages to consume 3 hours of a week with some people who've been
completely.
Yeah. And these have been playing for a year or playing. I've been in one for a few years where we're in the same story and doing the same thing. And so the stakes tend to change and you get emotionally invested in these things. And I saw, I do not know their name. He's probably the most famous person who does this. And he's this long haired guy.
It's better that you don't know the name because the intimacy does not require like, I know his name. I know this. It's just this feeling.
I'm sure people will be like, it's the guy, you know what I mean? It's like if I'm like, I couldn't remember this joke. People are like, it's Steve Martin. It's Steve Martin. You know what I mean? I'm like, and I'm just like, this guy, I think he had an arrow in his head.
But you're so honest. Yeah. But you're also so unattached to who the fame is. It's just this experience. So yeah, I love that you don't know the name.
I'm going off production value, a big thing. And I saw a montage. This is so specific.
I love this.
Of him ending final session campaigns, things that were 10 years long. Every week for 10 years, these people met and played as the same characters every week.
That's so beautiful.
10 years.
That's full on relationships.
And this was the so it's like 5 or 6 people and then him. And he's like, and this is how this ends. This is the whole story of these people ending. This is everything ending. And these people are bawling at this thing in like a happy way, but in a sad way of this long-term commitment ending. And it's a thing that doesn't necessarily have a definitive end date. And it's a story that you don't know how it's going to go. And so you're like, it's like if you're watching a show and then 20 times an episode, there's a 1 in 20 chance of different things happening. So you're rolling a dice to continue these stories and how people's fate, people's lives, people's this, and just watching. I like seeing something that has a profound impact on a group of people getting together in person. And these people are probably a huge stream, but ultimately it makes me be like, oh, you can kind of do that. Like, I like running a thing for 4 people in a room and it doesn't go anywhere. And you get like a story and you get emotional change with 4 people.
It's so intimate. You're not there for any other reason than being there together and doing this thing. Yeah.
And it does have its winks and nods, and it is like ultimately like, you know, oh, I'm playing a halfling with a whatever. You know what I mean? It's like kind of funny and fun.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, but I have spent a lot of time with this. And if you spend a lot of time with really anything, you spend a lot of time with something you don't like, you're still probably going to find some fondness and attachment to it. So I just saw this thing. I just saw it. And it was just them ending like 5 things they've been doing for years. It was just like, I'm sure it's just like these might have been over 10 years ago. I have no idea. And I'm like, oh, look at these people.
It doesn't matter.
Getting together in a room every week to become emotionally attached to nothing but words. And the pictures in their head of those words, and everyone might be picturing it differently.
Yes.
And then not being able to choose how it goes. You have like less control over this than maybe your actual life.
But you have trust with the people.
You have trust with the people. You can't predict dice. Ultimately, you're storytelling with randomness, and then they still are just like, oh, and it's a bunch of, it's nice to see adults goof around. It's nice to see adults play and lead to an emotional reaction and having like an intimate moment with a group of people. And I was like, oh, look at this. Crazy. This is wild. I would love to create this for people. I
think you might, though, because you have a sensitivity to this. And one of the things I literally last night, my roommate and I were crying because we were talking about how good Comic-Con feels. And it's because, like, of course you have, you know, differently able people, neurodivergent people, weirdos, people who have, you know, unseen disabilities, sensory needs. And all of them are in a space where we can together focus on fantasy, on things that, like, have a language. You don't have to, like, figure out what to talk about. You can share this and you feel so much more seen. It's so much less, like, you know, present it. You can accommodate your physical needs. It is, like, such a heavenly space. And I think, you know, it's no coincidence that those spaces consider the fact that someone might be in pain and they don't know it. They don't say it, they don't whatever, but it's like there's availability.
There's no inherent barrier.
Yes.
And generally, while there is what I would call nerd crust around the edges of some of these communities, it is frowned upon with a stronger frown and circumvented with more intention than a lot of other communities.
Wow, beautifully said.
Like, it is, inclusivity is not just allowed, it is
demanded
by the gatekeepers of a lot of these sort of things. It is intentionally pushed.
Today is literally World Down Syndrome Day. And a friend of mine just posted a video on inclusion. And, like, I think people forget, they genuinely, like, earnest, wonderful people. It's like even just like building design, like Comic-Cons require, you know, like they make sure the ADA sort of wheelchair accessibility and like.
Yeah. And their dialogue around it is like of course, not oh, no, we checked the box. You know what I mean? It's not a legally. They're never like legally we did it. It's always like, of course we would do it.
100%. And like, again, I want to acknowledge that if anyone's experienced toxicity, of course, in any community, but this one more so than others goes out of its way. Like even the basis of the original Marvel comics was queer and people of color and like telling those stories.
Oh, you're telling me this 2 Reddit pages misinterpreted X-Men?
is for big strong boys.
But this is what a thing that I do like about it a lot is like, because this will still come up because I think there's an even more prominent sort of like pushback of these horrific people who are like, and then, but everyone will be like, oh, you just didn't get it. Or you like you just didn't want to get it. There's not like a open to it's like this is staunchly a diverse, inclusive, deliberate creation that you have loved forever. And if you don't want to get it now, it's telling this about you.
And everyone's sensitive to that, and we don't need to prove it to you. It's like, okay, the community will then get stronger. Like, so it doesn't shock me that like this is such a place that has given you pure joy, because I understand that. And I think it's like, it is co-creation at its best. It is not who you are. It is how it's the commitments you make and how you show up and how you feel. And there's so much beautiful permission in those spaces. Yeah.
I've found it to be sort of a wonderful outlet, and not even just an outlet anymore, but like another thing.
Yeah. 100%. Well, it sounds like you're being inspired to like,
I got a box of dice sitting right there.
I love that. Is it a dice? It's a die game?
Yeah, so it's sort of like a tabletop role-playing game.
That's another bit you could use.
Make
it's a
decisions.
Die game.
Yeah. I got like a lot of dice in a box right here that are all sort of different looking. It's just like you're a character, and your character has traits and behavior, and you make decisions in that character, and then roll the dice to see your level of success with the decisions you're making. So it's like your collaborative storytelling with a luck-based element weighing in pretty heavily.
So I love the roll the dice to measure. That's incredible. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, what a metaphor.
Do you want to jump? Roll to see how far. Do you want to convince me of something? Roll to see how charismatic you are in this moment. And then let's go. Let's roll with it.
You roll for emotional qualities or character traits?
You can roll for emotional qualities. Yeah, you can roll. Your character has a whole sheet of emotional traits and build up, and you get to design that, and you create a backstory and sort of plop them into a universe and interact. And you can be however you want to be. Yeah, you can be nothing like yourself, exactly like yourself, accidentally like yourself is what I'm finding most people are.
Yeah. That's why it's healing, right? It's like the parts of me that I don't think I am. It's like,
and there is, it is fun to swing an axe at a little fake guy and chop his head off and get with your friends.
That part would be scary to me. Are there players that don't have to cause violence?
There certainly are.
Okay, cool. I'll do that. I'll be a big elf or something.
I run a game with someone who tries to talk their way out of pretty much every single potentially violent interaction, and it's beautiful and hilarious.
See, my character, I have a strong feeling. It'd be like, no violence, and then it's like, they made me angry, and I kill a whole game. You know what I mean?
We got to do it. I'm starting to run games with people who've never played. If you want to get in, I would love to have you. I might actually. It's called Never Played It, and I'm doing it as like a segment of the podcast where I full on run a D&D night, like 3 or 4 hours with people who've never played.
I'm in. That's so fun. We
make a character together. We talk about it. It'd be fun.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh, this is incredible. I got to get Catherine in on this too. She'd love this.
Yeah, that'd be so fun.
All right. Well, I could gab. You and I are just little motor mouths, but I could gab forever. But we are to the end. I know people can see your show at Union Hall. Hard to say. Is there anything else you want to publicize?
No, that is April 5th. I do stand up around LA. Never Seen It is a podcast where I have comedians rewrite movies they've never seen. It's very fun. I have been running Dungeons and Dragons games for a while, and I do it. If you'd like to hire me, I can do it completely online with you and your friends anywhere you want. Just DM me and we can talk about it. And Kyle Ayers, most places. And I end with giving the listeners and you a compliment, which is, oh my God, you're so pretty. Thank you. Yes. Worse Than You with Mo Fry-Pasek is hosted by me, Mo Fry-Pasek. You can learn more about this week's guest and the Worse Than You team by checking out the show and episode copy. Worse Than You with Mo Fry-Pasek is executive produced by Erica Ghetto, Mariah Gossett, and Lauren Mandel for Good Get and Disco Nap Productions. Oh my God, you're so pretty. We can cut it if you don't want to reveal what you do in your show, but I can.